Okay, let's hope that the signal problems from last time don't remanifest themselves here. Just give me 1 second. Okay, let's get going. All right, hello everyone. Welcome to Keeping It Sports with M3 on this Monday, the 22nd day of June here in 2020. Hope you all had a great weekend, a very safe, enjoyable, fun Father's Day weekend. A happy belated Father's Day to all of the fathers out there. Even as we remain, what is it now? 5 weeks away from the sports world's hopefully returning. Still got a lot to talk about here today. Stuff with baseball, the NFL, but of course I want to go back to what was one of the major themes talked about last week, and that was the pending return of the NBA in this bubble area down in Orlando, Florida, where, as we see in life in general, things could change day to day, week to week. Nothing is certainty. Even the NBA is still planning on plowing ahead with this plan, even with the recent surges in Florida in the coronavirus. Remember the coronavirus? It's still out there, people. I know, people in the tri-state area don't want to hear about it because we've done the right thing in social distancing, us and our surrounding states. It's just those west of Pennsylvania and south of Delaware have been a bunch of dumbasses about this whole thing, leading to spikes in certain areas. But the NBA is currently planning on returning in July in Orlando. Teams returning there for team practices in the middle of July before beginning an 8-game regular season on July 30th. Went through a lot of the details on this last week. But there's also the surrounding drama, the surrounding storyline to this all off the court with, the fact that there's been, I don't know if coalition is the right word to use on this matter, because for a coalition, I think you have to have a larger group, a larger body of people. But there's been a portion of players led by Kyrie Irving who have questioned whether they should actually play, whether this should actually go on, feeling that this would take attention away from the Black Lives Matter movement, taking attention away. And I talked about this last week. I'll say it again. I still don't understand where they're coming from, because not everybody watches basketball. And if you watch the evening nightly news before the pandemic, sports was always covered last, no matter what channel you were watching. Even if a team won a championship, it was covered last on the news, whether it be ABC, CBS, Fox. All of them would cover sports last. I mean, very rarely do you see the likes of CNN, MSNBC, Fox News touch the sports world. But when there's issues involving Black Lives Matter, discrimination, anything like that, they will divulge it in or bring in people from the sports world to discuss at times. So Kyrie has been the leader of this idea. And a funny piece of information came out about this in the last week, that he was all okay with the Orlando situation, liking the idea, especially because he is the VP of the Players Association. How that happened, I will never quite understand, because he rubs people the wrong way. Hell, that includes teammates. Hell, that includes fans of the teams he plays for. I mean, Celtic fans couldn't wait to get rid of him, and I already can't stand him as a Brooklyn Net fan. But now, seemingly, he's been told that he won't be able to go down to Orlando because he's a injured player. He's not going to be returning this year like his teammate Kevin Durant. They'll be coming back next year, and because of that, he's been told he won't be able to join the team down in Orlando. Interesting. And now he's having this, in his mind, come to Jesus moment where it's, oh, let's not play because this is going to distract from Black Lives Matter. I mean, nothing ceases to amaze me when it comes to this guy, how weird he is. I mean, let's see. First it was the earth is flat. Then it was, oh, I don't want to be teammates with LeBron James. I want to be the star of my own team. What happens? He goes to the Celtics. They accomplish more with him off the court than they do on the court. He comes to the Brooklyn Nets as the sidekick for Kevin Durant, although he got 20 games where he got to lead the team, and the team was under 500 with him, at 500 without him, and he had the nerve, after he came back from injury 3 days in, to talk about how they didn't have enough players on the team and rip some of the young guys. Yeah. And now there's this, at a time where we need some positivity. We need something that, it's not going to take our attention away from COVID-19. It's not going to take our attention away from the Black Lives Matter movement, because each and every single day, each and every single week, there seems to be something new piling on top, that this time the white community has decided, you know what, we can't keep just brushing this off. We can't come out strong in the beginning and say, yeah, change, and then 3 weeks later it's back to business as usual. No, we need to be part of this movement. And Kyrie, just because he's Kyrie, seems to think that the league coming back will take away from him. Well, he's been heavily criticized by many members in the media, led by Kendrick Perkins. Kendrick Perkins, who has become seemingly a star, an overnight sensation at ESPN. You see him a lot on the afternoon show NBA The Jump with Rachel Nichols, and a whole host load of rotating panelists on there. He's been on First Take a lot. I don't want to say he's becoming the Charles Barkley of ESPN, because that is a tough hill to climb. Charles you almost think about Charles more as a commentator now than you think of how great a player he was. And Perkins was never the level of player that Barkley was. How people forget Perkins is only about 35, 36 years old. He's younger than LeBron James, and they came into the league this same year. But he's made a pretty big name for himself in the media so far, and he's been one of the harshest critics from Kyrie. Well, as we've come to see, anytime someone criticizes Kyrie, he now has a bodyguard, seemingly, a verbal bodyguard, that being his soon-to-be teammate, Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant did not like what Perkins was saying about him, and had the nerve to comment about it on social media the other day, calling Kendrick Perkins a sellout, which is very funny and ironic coming from Kevin Durant. Now, might I read you the dictionary term for sellout or selling out. It is a common expression for the compromising of a person's integrity, morality, authenticity, or principles in exchange for personal gain, such as money or, in this case, glory. Kevin Durant, you are, as much as I love you and I look forward to you playing for the Brooklyn Nets, hopefully next season, you are the last person that should be calling anybody a sellout. Let's go back here. KD, back in summer of 2010, was highly critical of LeBron James making the jump from the Cavaliers to the Miami Heat. Not just going to the Heat, joining up with Wade and Bosh, but the way he did it. He had some strong takes on social media without directly using LeBron James's name. Fast forward about 6 years later, the shoe is now on the other foot because KD and his Thunder blow a 3-1 series lead to the 73-win Golden State Warriors, miss out on a chance of going to another NBA Finals, and about 2 weeks after the Finals, Kevin Durant agrees to a deal to join the Golden State Warriors, and subsequently wins 2 NBA championships and was an injury away from winning a 3rd championship. And he's going to have the gall to call somebody a sellout. As I said, Kevin, look yourself in the mirror. That's so hypocritical, calling somebody else a sellout. Yeah, it's a former teammate you feel betrayed by, especially because Perkins, during his playing career, was such the anti-media guy. They thought they were a hindrance, a botherance to him, even though he wasn't a star. He was a good center. He wasn't Shaquille O'Neal. He wasn't Dwight Howard. No, he wasn't an all-star type center, but he was a good player. He was a nice role player on the 2008 Boston Celtics, who I continue to contend they are the worst thing to ever happen to the NBA. I mean, seriously, no one rides one championship or thinks of themselves as a dynasty off of one championship more than the 2008 Boston Celtics, but I digress on that. He's mad. Kevin's mad because he feels that a former teammate, a guy he looked at as a friend, a brother, a warrior out there with him out on the court, he feels he's betraying him. But a lot of times you get these guys that come on TV and they want to play nice because either they're biding their time on TV to become a coach somewhere, or they don't want to say something controversial about their peers, the guys that they played with. This is actually kind of refreshing hearing Kendrick come out with this strong take, this strong comment on Kyrie. And, I think the reason that it's gained so much attention as it is that it is Kyrie Irving that's saying it. It is a notable player, and a notable player that has said a lot of weird, controversial stuff over the years. And I mean, hell, this is the same guy. Later in the week, he decided to say, hey, let's start our own league. Yeah. Trying to make insinuations that the NBA supports racism in some shape or form when, I'm sorry, last I checked, it's got to be at least 95% of your league, maybe a little too high, but it's somewhere in the 90s. Percent of your league is made up of black men. The white guys, they're a minority in the NBA. This league was made off the playing ability, the personalities, the warriorship of black men over the years. So I can't understand understand why he's trying to make a race issue toward the NBA. I mean, the only thing I could think of here is, let's face it, he's still not on the greatest of terms with LeBron James. Remember, he forced his way out of Cleveland. So this is another way of him throwing shade at LeBron, because LeBron's been the leader of, let's get this going. We want to finish this season if at all entirely possible. He realizes that with LeBron getting older, he's going to be 36 before the start of next season. This is one of the last great chances LeBron has at winning a championship. And in his mind, he wants to try and take away from that if all possible. Doesn't have the power to do so. He doesn't have LeBron kind of power, especially, LeBron, as I said, has been a driving force behind this. Even a rival of LeBron's, I'm sure they have respect for each other, but an on-court rival of LeBron's, Pat Beverly, said it best on Twitter last week. Hoopers say what y'all want. If at King James said he hooping, we all hooping. Not personal, only business. And, LeBron has that kind of power. I'm sure he's talked with Commissioner Adam Silver in recent weeks. And Silver, while it's not been the end-all, be-all, he's said it to LeBron. Hey, LeBron, what do you want to do? You think we can continue this if at all possible? You all in? If so, and he's giving the thumbs up. Now, there's going to be those players that decide to opt out, but no, I don't think it's going to be enough. I don't think there's. You would have to get to a point where you have like 3 to 4 guys per team deciding to do so, maybe even more than that, deciding that, hey, we're not playing because they feel they're taking away attention from what's really important. But then teams could still go out there and sign guys that are free agents or add guys off of their G League squad. Remember, everybody's allowed to bring 17 players with them at the start of the return of the NBA season. But, we haven't heard much from Kyrie in the last couple of days. Hopefully someone's talked some sense into him. Someone has woken him up for what an idiot he is, but I find that hard to believe. The other thing I wanted to start off with talking about today is, sticking with the theme of the world right now. How, this time we're not ignoring the outcries for change. We've seen protests in some shape, form, or fashion every day for the last month. And we've also seen certain entities make change. We've seen, last week NASCAR made the announcement that, hey, Confederate flag, that's no longer allowed here. And, long overdue as far as I'm concerned. Well, now you've seen a lot around where, in, personal places, public places where black people are, nooses start to turn up. And that really gained traction yesterday when NASCAR's one black racer on the Cup Series, Bubba Wallace, enters his garage, his team's garage, and they find a noose hanging there. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? How disgusting of a human being can you be to hang a noose in a black person's garage like that, or his team garage like that? Obviously, this is not a fan that did this. This is not a NASCAR fan, because from everything I've read up on, I've heard on in the last day, you've got to have some real serious credentials to get back there in the garage areas at these tracks. You can't just you and I can't just walk up on Talladega and, go in someone's garage and look around there. You've got to be, working on one of these teams. You've got to be part of the NASCAR inner circle. You've got to have some pretty strong connections to get in there. And now you're seeing both the FBI and the Department of Justice are investigating this, which, great. Hopefully there was a camera on somewhere near that area, some kind of security camera, and we can see who the piece of garbage is that did this. I mean, you're going to put your backwards thinking mindset over, a sport, thinking that some way that's funny, going in there, putting up a noose in their team's garage, in the Richard Petty Motorsports garage, their Bubba Wallace's area. I mean, it's just disgusting. It's disturbing to think about. But what does bring a smile to my face today is, I'm not a NASCAR fan. I don't watch this typically. It's not something that really draws my attention that much. But it did, bring some warmness to my tiny little heart, seeing the public outcry and the inner NASCAR outcry of support for Bubba Wallace. Whether it be, people in the media on ESPN and different media outlets expressing their support for Bubba and their outright disgust, as well as the entire NASCAR community. Whether, team owner Richard Petty, he wasn't supposed to be in Alabama today. He wasn't supposed to be at Talladega Super Speedway for today's race, but he felt it was important to get down there, stand side by side, put his arm around his guy. And then in an even more warming moment, you see that the other drivers and pit crew members for other teams, as well as other NASCAR personnel, they walked side by side along with Bubba Wallace as they all escorted his car to the starting position. I thought that was, just a great thing to see there. Great job by all of them, and shows that, they're all while they're competitors, they all want to win the race. They're people first, and they're looking out for one of their own. And when it comes to all the racism, it's not this is a message to Kyrie Irving, who, as he talks about, these sports causing a distraction to these messages. We're not going to solve all the problems tomorrow. We're not going to solve them all next week, hell, a month from now. It's going to take a long damn time. And still, unfortunately, you're going to have evil people in this world. You're going to have scumbags who are going to, for whatever warped reason in the back of their mind, going to look at someone of a different race, different nationality, not just, black, but look at Asians, anyone of a different skin color, different look, different nationality, different gender, and view that person as a lesser person than them because they are not white American. And for those kind of people, we need to make them the minority. We need to make them feel so belittled, so insignificant that it continues the march toward true change. Because, people like this, they're just grasping on. They've had, the Confederate flag taken away from them. They are acting like, you're taking away our freedom of speech. Well, your freedom of speech is supporting something that represents racism. Hell, your freedom of speech is something that symbolizes a loser. Your freedom of speech symbolizes something that was treasonous toward the United States of America. And as I continue to say, why? Why would you celebrate something, want to symbolize something that lost a war and represented racism? I'll never get it. I'll never understand it. But I'm going to try and direct my attention to hopefully more positive things as the hour goes along here. Getting some football stuff, baseball as well. So, there's one college team that I don't quite understand what their university is thinking. And it involves what I've just been talking about. So dive into that next. Hope you stick with me through the next half hour or so here. Just please sit back, relax, help put your feet up on the table if you feel like it. I continue keeping it sports with M3. Come on. Waiting for this to load. I've had some poor internet connection today. Can I press? How the hell with that? Let's go. Welcome back to Keeping Sports with M3. Remember, as always, you can find me on social media. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/keepingitsports with M3. Go there, click the like button. Hell, click the share button every time you see a podcast. Go out, send it out to your friends. Remember, they don't have to be my friend on social media. Just looking for people to follow the page, grow the following of the podcast. As well as on Twitter, find me at Keeping It Sports. And my own personal Twitter account is at M3 Rosansky. Now, we've seen some college coaches under some controversy in recent weeks. We've seen some guys feeling the heat, whether it be Dabo Swinney wearing his Football Matters T-shirt a couple of weeks ago, and then coming off as such a fraud when he attended a Black Lives Matter march on Clemson's campus, when he really should have taken a step back and been quiet right now. But at least he has a leg to stand on. He's lost only 5 games in the last 5 years. Been to multiple championship games. Won 2 or 3 of them with Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. He's got enough cachet there to survive this. It hasn't gotten to that ugliness yet. What I don't get is how the hell is Mike Gundy surviving at Oklahoma State? In case some of you aren't aware, about 10 days ago surfaced on social media a picture of him on a fishing trip. And he was wearing a T-shirt for a political television network named OAN. OAN stands for One America News Network, and they are extremely right-sided in their political views. I mean, they make Fox News look like they're impartial. That's how right-sided we're talking One American News Network is. They even went as far as referring to Black Lives Matter movement as a farce. That's how insulting of a network this is. And when that picture surfaced, Chua Hubbard, star running back, ran for over 2,000 yards last year, posted on Twitter, quote, "This is completely insensitive to everything going on in society and it's unacceptable. I will not be doing anything with Oklahoma State until things change." And like, wow, the star of the team coming out strong against the head coach. No, Oklahoma State, they got a decision to make here. Well, unfortunately, hours later, on one of their social media sites, whether it was the school's Twitter account, the team's Twitter account, or Instagram, whatnot, they post this video of Hubbard and Gundy standing side by side, where never once in the video does Gundy apologize. He just talks about how we got to have more communication. I look forward to talking to more people. Doesn't truly come out and apologize for wearing the t-shirt. But Hubbard is apologizing for posting the tweet that he sent saying, "Oh, I should have kept it in-house." No, bro, you're the star of a college football program. You're one of the best running backs in the sport. Your voice carries power. You got to put your voice out there. You got to put what you're feeling out there and be unapologetic about it. They did this just for a photo opportunity, and I'm sure when the video was turned off, Gundy was probably looking down his nose at Hubbard rather than the other way around. Gundy then the next day came out with a video, and quote, one of the quotes he says in there, "Our players express their feelings as individuals and as team members. They helped me see through their eyes how the t-shirt affected their hearts. Once I learned how the network felt about Black Lives Matter, I was disgusted, and it was completely unacceptable to me." I mean, come on, how did you not be disgusted by this network begin with? I mean, a couple months ago, you're out there touting about this place. I guarantee it's not the first time they've expressed something racially controversial like that. And from the outside, you wonder how he's keeping his job, but then you got to look at the details. Number one, he's making $5 million a year, and there's a buyout of at least $16 million. They probably don't want to spend that buyout to get out from under his contract. Then, unfortunately, there's the political aspect of all of this. Because back in April, he threw his support behind Donald Trump. And, you can have whatever opinion you want of Donald Trump. It's not for me to judge you on that. I just hope that if I give the opposing view, you show me enough respect to not call me an idiot for all of his supporters. And that's been one of the big issues we've had. And on top of the fact he threw his support for Trump, back in 2016, all 17 counties in Oklahoma voted for Donald Trump. He won all 17 counties in the Electoral College voting. And let's add another personal piece of information here with him. Mike Gundy was the starting quarterback at Oklahoma State from 1986 through 1989 before graduating and getting into coaching, where he right away began as a wide receivers coach, worked his way up through the system before eventually becoming their head coach in 2005. This will be his 16th season as head coach if they have a season this year. But, I look at his track record as a coach. He doesn't have that level track record where you got to stand behind him when he does something stupid like this and creates that kind of racial insensitivity toward his players and is making one of his players look stupid by doing that photo op of a video where he doesn't apologize at first and only Hubbard was apologizing. I mean, you look at his track record in 16 seasons. He is 129-64. He won the Big 12 championship in 2011, tied for the division lead in 2012, but lost the conference championship game. In 16 seasons, he only has 6 double-digit win seasons. The highest he's finished in the rankings in any given year is 3rd. Mostly the other 8 years they have been ranked, he's finished in the teens. He has 7 top 20 finishes, and they've only been in one of the New Year's 6 bowl games one time. That was the Fiesta Bowl back in 2012. I mean, it's not like this guy has an over-the-top dominant resume, and you add onto it the allegations of racism in his past. A wide receiver on the team who entered the transfer portal back in January, L.C. Greenwood, wrote on Twitter that Gundy once called him a hood rat and a thug, threatening him over his clothing choices. You have another former player there, Patrick McCone, who said that Gundy would pretend to be on the phone with someone when he saw him in the hallway, avoiding any interaction with him, and that he was threatened that he was going to get sent back to the hood on numerous occasions. And on top of that, a former linebacker, defensive end at the University of Colorado, played a little while in the NFL, Alfred Williams. He was a former teammate of Fox Sports 1 and analyst and NFL Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe, and he recently retold him a story that he's told him before during his playing days, that back in '89 when Gundy was the starting quarterback at Oklahoma State, during a matchup between OSU and Colorado, Gundy directed racial slurs toward him and several of his teammates in the game. I mean, how do you keep this guy around? He's not Nick Saban at Alabama. He's not Dabo Swinney at Clemson. And even then I'd have questions about them keeping their job, but they've at least done something. Not that it would justify them having a racial transgression or causing racial insensitivity, but at least they've accomplished something major in their college coaching careers. This is just your run-of-the-mill coach. The best thing he's known for is yelling at the media, "I'm a man, I'm 40. Remember that? That was him. That's what he's best known for. I guarantee you that most of you who are either watching this or listening to this right now don't remember that Oklahoma State played in the Fiesta Bowl. You have to go look it up and research it like I did. You have to look up and research that wow, he had 6 double-digit win seasons. I don't remember the last time they had them in back-to-back years. They are a middle-of-the-pack college football program. They're not Bama. They're not LSU. They're not Clemson. They're not any of the SEC schools. They're not Oklahoma. They're not Texas. Hell, they're not even what the U once was. This is Oklahoma State. What, just because the guy was your quarterback once upon a time and you're looking at it as your homegrown guy, that's why you're keeping him around? Disgusting. It's embarrassing that he still has a job today, and Oklahoma State University should be embarrassed with themselves. To hell with his political opinions. I've said this from the beginning when it comes to anything involving Black Lives Matter. It should not involve your political party. Leave politics out of it. This is a right versus wrong situation here. And this guy is clearly in the right. He did not in the wrong, excuse me. He did not support the right side of the argument until he was shamed and embarrassed in-house and publicly by his choice of actions here. I mean, the guy's got to go. He's got to lose his job. Otherwise, what are you saying to recruits? What are you saying to the parents of recruits when you send this guy into the living room trying to recruit these players to come play at your school? Yeah, come play for the school that has a head coach with a racist history, racist background to him. Now that will really get them running to your school. Just disgusting. All right, I'm going to calm down here, take about a minute or so break, but come back on the other side, try to get to some sports at some point here. Continue keeping it sports with M3. Back here with more Keeping It Sports with M3. Colin Kaepernick has got him a lot of attention, a lot of traction recently, and finally, Roger Goodell had admitted that, they screwed up when it came to the Kaepernick situation, and talked about last week. There was an ESPN special called Return to Sports, where they had commissioners of all of the major sports leagues on there. And Goodell talked about how he encourages one of these NFL teams to sign Colin Kaepernick. And that's all good and well for him to say it. But are one of these owners going to have the testicular fortitude to go out there and make an honest signing of Kaepernick? Not sign him just because the commissioner is saying, oh, you should do this. Is something that I fully embrace, fully in support. No, sign him because you think that he can have a positive impact on your team, even as just a backup, and an impact on your locker room as a vocal leader, a guy that can rally the troops and, I guess, be the team spokesperson that takes the difficult questions from the media. I mean, I know he doesn't view himself as a backup. This is a guy that was a successful quarterback at one time. He was a player or two away from defeating the Baltimore Ravens in a Super Bowl. And instead, now because he decided to take an approach that many looked down upon at the time, he was essentially treated like an outcast and chased out of the NFL. When look at some of the scrubs that are getting jobs in this league. Go through a lot of teams' depth charts. There are about 10 teams in this league that have a young quarterback that, they don't want the spectra of Colin Kaepernick looking over their shoulder. That's fine. You look at your teams like the Bills, the Dolphins, the Jets, the Giants, the Los Angeles Chargers, Cincinnati Bengals, Cleveland Browns, those teams that, have a young quarterback that hasn't fully established themselves yet, but the organization still believes in them, still thinks there's enough time to prove themselves. That's fine. If those teams don't want to sign him. But you're going to tell me that, a team that, whether they're in contention for a championship or they're a middle-of-the-pack team, couldn't use a Colin Kaepernick? I mean, look at some of the guys that got jobs in this league. Geno Smith has a job, all right? Tyrod Taylor, who's average at best, he's got a job and is probably going to lose it halfway through this year once they think Justin Herbert's ready. You look at... I'm sure you go through plenty of these teams' depth charts. How Brian Hoyer keeps getting job opportunities, and Brian Hoyer's never been as good as Colin Kaepernick. There's got to be that team out there that has the balls to honestly bring Kaepernick in for a workout. Not just for show, not just for, hey, look what we did. Yeah, we're that team that brought him in for a workout. No, work him out. You see that he has something in the tank and realize that this guy can have a positive impact on our team. Even if he doesn't play that much, even if he's just the backup. How about you, Pete Carroll? You talked about it 2017 that you regret not signing Kaepernick back then. Why don't you back up your talk? Why don't you do that? All right? He's no threat to your starter. He's no threat to Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's top 5 quarterback in this league. He's not taking Russ's job unless there's some unforeseen injury there. No, somebody show the guts and give Colin Kaepernick a fair, honest opportunity. Because he's standing up for a good cause. No, we haven't heard much from him, and we don't know where he sits right now, but I'm sure his end game was not a settlement with the NFL. Even if he had completely taken them to town and won that lawsuit embarrassingly and put shame on them forever, I'm sure he still in the back of his mind wanted to get back in the league to prove something to himself and to everyone out there that he's not just some publicity stunt, that he wants to stand up and represent change, but that he's also a respectable football player and that he still has a lot left in the tank. I hope he gets that opportunity. I mean, you're seeing guys kept around this league for stupid reasons. Take, for example, what happened with the Giants last week. Their kicker, Aldrich Rojas, was arrested in Chico, California for an alleged hit-and-run incident last Monday. There's the funny thing about this story. Not that anything's funny about hit-and-run. He was allegedly driving erratically at 100 miles an hour. He ran a red light and hit into a pickup truck. He attempted to get away, but his car broke down in doing so, and then fled on foot. He was eventually found in an area near the crash, barefooted, and his hands, legs, and feet were covered in blood. And as well, of course, this guy was highly intoxicated at the time, and mind you, this was 8:25 in the morning. Yeah, someone was out partying a little too much. And I don't get why the Giants haven't cut this guy yet. Why, they went with the typical Giant approach of, we're investigating the situation. We're going to let due process play out. It's not like this is a star player. It's not like you have reason to keep ties with this guy. This is a guy that he wasn't even drafted out of college. He was on the practice squad for the Titans for a year before you found him in 2017. Major team out of training camp as your lead kicker, and he's been an average kicker at best. Yeah, he made the Pro Bowl in 2018. He only missed a field goal and an extra point that year. But 2017 was a bad year. 2019, he was a heavily criticized bad year. And still, for some reason, you signed him to the restricted free agent $3.2 million tender to bring him back for 2020 instead of going out and trying to find a replacement. I mean, this is, last I checked, he's not Adam Vinatieri. He's not Steven Gostkowski. I mean, he's easily replaceable. You can, as they say in the NFL, you can go out and pluck someone in off the streets. I mean, why waste your time? Why keep this guy around? It makes little to no sense to me. But then, that's not the only team at MetLife Stadium that's dealing with drama right now. I mean, you see the hat I'm wearing. You knew I was going to address this at some point. The Jamal Adams drama. It just, it never ends with this guy. Last week, he and his agent requested a trade from the New York Jets because he hasn't gotten what he wanted yet this offseason. He hasn't gotten his contract extension that he feels he was promised by the Jets. And listen, this drama between the two sides goes back to the trade deadline last year because he thought the Jets were trying to trade him when he's gotten this whole situation ass backwards the entire time. The Jets were not trying to trade him. They never picked up the phone, were directly calling other teams. But at the same time, as any hopefully smart franchise would do that isn't good, isn't in a competitive situation, you have a big-time player like that, teams are going to come calling for you, and their rightful obligation to the organization, they at least got to pick up the phone and listen to the offer, see if someone sends them something outrageous on the level of what I mentioned last week. 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks is the kind of outrageousness that you're looking for a defender of the level of Jamal Adams. I mean, we're talking about the best safety in football and one of the top 10 defensive players in the sport. But, he's unhappy because he hasn't gotten his new contract. This is playing out exactly like the Jalen Ramsey situation did last year. And you wonder at what point does it get to where he's going to start saying that, making up injuries in training camp or early portions of the season and really become a pain in the ass. I mean, today you have the video that comes out where we believe it to be Jamal Adams in the video. A fan who's obviously a Dallas Cowboy fan takes a video from their car as Jamal Adams is passing in his truck, asking him, "Hey, when you coming to Dallas, bro?" And he responds with, "I'm trying to." And that's been his number one destination all along. Right? He put out a list there, or there was a list leaked of other teams that he'd be interested in going to. Surprise, surprise! It's all teams that are expected to contend, including the likes of the Cowboys, the Chiefs, the Bucks, amongst others. And he's even said that he would play for any of these teams this year without getting his contract extension. So this is becoming more and more a spot where Jamal just wants out from the Jets. Jamal just wants to say bye Felicia to us because he can't handle the losing anymore. And while on one hand I can understand that, you said for the first 3 years you want to be part of the solution here. You want to be part of the turnaround here. You viewed yourself as a leader. You were one of those that screamed from the top, "Play like a Jet." How you wanted to get dogs in here on this locker room. And now, once the chips continue to look bleak, now you want to jump ship, skip town here? There's the part of me that just says to the Jets, give him the contract extension. But there's the other part of me that says, don't trade his ass. Don't even dare. Don't give in to his demands. If you're not going to give him the contract extension, and he's going to act like a big baby about all of this, you say, all right, you're either playing for us or you play for no one. Because, we don't have to give you the extension right now. We got you signed to $3.5 million this year. We picked up your rookie option for the 5th-year option on your rookie deal, $9.8 million in 2021. That's fine. Hell, we can franchise you in 2022, so we got control over you for the next 3 years, man. It's not like you can walk out the door tomorrow and say goodbye to us forever. And your dream destination might be just a dream because Cowboys can't even get Dak Prescott locked up to a long-term deal. They have to settle for him signing the franchise tag today. And if they don't get an extension done in the next 3 weeks, that's $31.4 million on the cap for them this year. If they're not paying him, where the hell do you think they're going to find the money to pay you? I mean, all the way around, I'm disgusted in this situation. Because I'm a Jet fan. It's been almost a decade since this team was in the playoffs. It's been 5 years since they had a winning season. And this team is emotionally taking years away from my life, especially as a season ticket holder who in all likelihood won't be attending any games this year because this pandemic won't allow it. I mean, I hate that it's gone this route. I hate that, Jamal has now seemingly turned his back on an organization that the fans have done nothing but love him. You have a GM who says that he wants to make him a Jet for life. And now because he's not getting his way and he's tired of the losing, he wants out, and he's just going to be a pain in the ass until he gets his way. As I said, I make him play this year for the $3.5 million. We talk about the extension as we go along, and if he doesn't agree to that, just keep him for the next 2 years. Force him to make a decision on that. You either play for us or you play for no one. It's that plain and simple. I'm going to take one last break here, come back on the other side, finish things up for Keeping Sports with M3. Come on. yeah. Unfortunately, I'm like losing some hair at the calic here, and just so you all know that the camera is making it look like I'm really emotional to make look like my eyes are all red. I think that's just the lighting here because I put some lighting on here in the background, lighting things up a little bit. That kind of makes it look a little bit better, but as far as my face goes, it's making the rest of me look like I'm in the dark. So that's why I got to keep the look like you're crying lights going here. All right, let's finish this up. All right, big finish here. Finish things up for keeping it sports with M3, where, what do you know, another week goes by and baseball still can't get things right. They just keep pissing us off. A week ago at this time, you had Rob Manfred on the ESPN special saying that he's no longer confident there will be a season this year. And, it hurts the league, it hurts the owners, it hurts the players, and it will hurt your fan base if there's no season this year of any form, especially if the other sports return. Well, finally on Tuesday, this is a novel concept. For the first time, Rob Manfred and Tony Clark got together in Arizona and actually face-to-face had negotiations. What a novel concept. Before it was just, here's our offer, you guys discuss that, you talk it over. Nah, we don't like that. We don't like that offer. We'll make our own proposal. And it wasn't negotiations. There wasn't the give and take you typically have in negotiations. It was just passing offers back and forth to each other. This was the first actual negotiation, and they put together the framework for a potential season. A 60-game season to take place over 66 days would begin, I believe it was July 19th, get done by September 26th, in which time you would have an extended postseason where you would have 8 teams from each league making the playoffs, 16 teams total, a first round of best of 3 before going to your normal best of 5 round in the division series round, and the championship series and the World Series would remain at their normal best of 7, along with that it would remain that way as far as the extended postseason for this year and 2021, and you would get the universal DH. The players would have their salaries fully prorated. Well, then you started getting the arguing back and forth because the players wanted a 70-game season fully prorated. The owners didn't feel they could do that, and instead of having a meeting in the middle, that the owners were essentially making it known, all right, this is our offer, take it or leave it, or the commissioner will just set his own schedule. Well, about an hour ago, as I'm in the middle of recording this, I get an alert saying that the MLBPA voted against Major League Baseball's proposal to restart the season. Here's the statement they put out here. Quote, "While we had hoped to reach a revised back-to-work agreement with the league, the players remain fully committed to proceeding under our current agreement and getting back to the field for the fans, the game, and for each other." You're not playing in front of fans. You're talking about the fans at home watching on TV. But the statement would go on to note the union expects to reach agreement with the league on health and safety protocols. They await a word from the league on the resumption of spring training camps and proposed 2020 schedule. You were given a proposed 2020 schedule. Wasn't it you guys about a week ago that was saying, tell us where and when we want to play? They gave you more than the 48 game schedule. They gave you 60 games. That's the most that you're going to probably get out of this year, because if Fauci and these other scientists are right, there's going to be, unfortunately, that second wave. A second wave that, hell, we're not even out of the first wave yet, because places like Florida, Texas, Arizona, and even Oklahoma, especially Tulsa, Oklahoma, are trying to screw the whole thing up for all of us. I mean, you say you want to play, you're given a proposal that I look at it on paper and I'm like, all right, this is fair. For the time frame, you'll get the postseason done at some point by Halloween, and then don't have to worry about putting the players at risk for that potential second wave. This seems like a good deal all around, and they keep pushing back because, listen, this is negotiating. You can't have 100% of what you want, guys. I'm sorry. This is where I leave you on this. I looked at this proposed deal that they had set for you. Everything seems pretty good. Now you're losing the opportunity in the future for more jobs, because that's what the universal DH provides. Having it in the National League means 15 extra jobs out there for National League. That means a guy like, in the future, when you have a player like Nelson Cruz come along, they're not just looking at 15 teams in the league for how to extend their career in their late 30s, going to the 40s. They got all 30 teams available for them to potentially go to, and knowing that, hey, I just take my 4 to 5 at-bats per game, and I can continue going on into my 40s. I maybe only have to play defense once a week, once every 2 weeks at the minimum. Instead, each and every time, both you guys, you're screwing this up. That's why, as the days go on here, I get closer and closer to thinking there's going to be no baseball. I mean, that's the more likely outcome at this point, especially, these teams aren't going to be able to work out at their spring training sites. Become clearly obvious with the outbreak you've had in the last week. Over 40 players / team personnel have tested positive for COVID-19, forcing all spring training facilities to be temporarily closed to be clean. And now you got, the Yankees and the Mets. They've already announced they're going to be doing spring training at their home ballparks, and I'm sure everyone else is going to be doing that. But what's going to happen with the Diamondbacks, the Rangers, the Astros, the Rays, the Marlins? Are they going to be in those places where they've seen the greatest spike recently in COVID-19 cases? Are they going to be able to work out in their city, or are they going to have to go somewhere else and have their home games in some other location? Because it's not like they're going to have to worry about fans this year. I mean, as I said, as days go on, I'm getting closer and closer to thinking there's going to be no baseball. It's going to really be a shame if everybody else comes back and they're the ones that don't. But who knows? We could get to a point where, sports in 2020 just were not meant to resume. We're not meant to come back, because this has been a crazy, unpredictable, unexpected kind of year for all of us. And, things are changing day by day, week by week, and we don't know how the landscape is going to be different a month from now, let alone a week from now. And that, my friends, was Keeping It Sports with M3 for Monday, June 22nd, 2020. Hey, I know I sound all doom and gloom there, but let's try and keep a positive face on, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, continue to do the smart things. Not think about others as well as yourself, because we're all in this together. And I'll talk to you guys again, same time next week. Peace. Come on.